Torres, who began his career not that long ago, 2019, and already has 630 wins. As I mentioned earlier, Christian made history twice at last Oaklawn's meet. He set the record for earnings of over $6 million, and he also reached an accomplishment only done by the great Pat Day. He rode 100 winners at the meeting, a huge accomplishment. But both of you gentlemen have a very busy day today. Jillian, I know that you are riding 3 of the stakes. Let's talk real quickly about Allie's Beach in the Honeybee, coming in from the barn of trainer Tom Amos. Unfortunately, Allie's Beach was scratched out of the Breeders' Cup. She spiked a temperature that day, but looks like she's really coming into this race in good form. How do you handicap? Is there a difference between handicap maybe a claim race and a big graded stakes? Pressure's on, camera's on.
No, I think we handicap the same way, but for me, this filly, it's going to be the first time I'm going to be on her. So I'm going to be watching lots of videos and of races, and she's been off since October last year, so she's coming off the layoff. I haven't talked to Tom yet, so I don't know what he's going to tell me.
He'll find you. Don't worry.
No, I think if she improved from 2-year-old to 3 years old, she's going to have a good shot.
So Christian has a very busy day, no time for rest. He rides the entire card, all 12 races, all 4 stakes, and you're riding some really good horses today for Brad Cox with a chance to, I think it's even money that you could very easily have a chance to sweep both 3-year-old races, the Honeybee and the Rebel. So it's got to be a cool experience to get aboard.
Yeah, it's that's what we work for, to ride these kind of races and those kind of horses, and I'm just grateful that Brad gave me the opportunity and his confidence to ride his best horses today.
So going into today, what's the vibe in the room? Because days like this, you'll get other riders in from out of town. There might be some rivalries, but ultimately, it's that feeling of camaraderie. So tell us about a little bit of the Jocks Room vibe, Julian.
Well, I mean, we in the Jocks Room, we're all friends. But then,
I know, it's kind of like Vegas. What happens in the Jocks Room stays in the Jocks Room. You got to respect that.
It's a different feeling in those big days. Even we joke around and we're friendly, but I feel like we're very all focused about the day and try to get what we can. And I think like those big days. It's a lot of work going into it, not just for us, but the whole team and the barn. So it's very important to be able to get the best trip and everything goes perfect for everyone. The owners, the trainers, exercise rider, everybody's been working very hard for it. So
I love that. It really does take a village. It is a team effort in horse racing. Christian, on a day like today, do you and these guys are professional athletes. I can always, they show the videos of fighters going into the arena, or football players. They're all dolled up, but it's game day. It's a big game day. What's kind of your mentality going in? Are you just kind of keep to yourself in the room to try to keep that focus?
Yeah, especially a day like today that I ride a lot of the whole card and a lot of big races. I prepare my mind since yesterday.
You're very soft-spoken, unlike me, so yeah.
I prepared my mind since yesterday, the day before, because I gotta come to the room and be as focused as I can and be ready for every race, because I basically have 20 minutes between races to get ready for each race. So I start since the day before, and I just try to be here early and then get ready and stretch and then just prepare for the big day.
So part of these guys' team is their jockey agents who have secured these mounts for today. Julian is represented by, I like to call him Team Santos, Joe Santos, the son of retired jockey Jose Santos, and Christian is represented by a former trainer in Cody Autry. There's a lot of work. Is there ever an experience where your agent might go to you, hey, you've got 2 choices in here? Do you say, hey, I'm going to let you decide? Or do you kind of make it a group discussion? Christian, what's the process?
It always happens. We ride so many horses all year around, and they always come to us and ask us because we work the horses in the morning, so they want our opinion on which horses are working better or not, and we made a decision. Sometimes they already know the horses, and I just leave it to my agent. He's pretty smart, and so I'm very confident. Like when he makes a decision, I know he did it for a good for both of us.
And if the agent makes the decision and something falls apart, it's their fault, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I truly admire and respect about both of these gentlemen is that they are hardcore family men. So I know, unfortunately, your family is still in Kentucky. They did come for an extended visit, but I always joke that we marry within our culture. We're not a cult, but it's hard to understand the lifestyle of a racetracker. It's 7 days a week. It's any type of weather. So it is a different mentality to get somebody that realizes that. You work holidays. But Julian is actually married to Shay Mitchell Leperoux, the daughter of longtime trainer who I knew for many, many years out in Southern California, Mike Mitchell. So she already knew what she was getting into.
Yeah, definitely. No, she knew the game. She grew up around it. So obviously for us, like you said, a jockey or somebody, a racetracker, anyway, it's easier to have my wife knowing the business, and like you said, like if you have somebody outside the racetrack on holidays and our weekends, our weekends are full, so it's easier for sure.
It definitely is easier. And Christian, we have some amazing videos that we show throughout the races. We've done a highlight on Christian, but I love the story of how long you and your wife have known each other. So with, women don't like to say, but how old are you right now, Christian?
26.
26. And you have known your beautiful wife for how long?
Since I was 13 years old.
13 years old.
And
so
she was 10.
And she was 10?
She was 10.
Oh, she liked them older men. Okay. Okay. So now obviously Christian didn't begin his career at the age of 13. And I know you had come to the States to pursue a life in horse racing. How did you two rekindle?
Well, we met back in Puerto Rico when we were kids, and my mom decided to move to Florida the next year I met her, and but social media was starting in those years.
Good old Facebook.
Yeah.
Or MySpace, whatever it was back then.
Yeah, so we never lost contact, and we had our social media together. I moved out of Puerto Rico. She stayed, and she moved a couple years later to Arizona, and I was already galloping in New York. And one day she texted me, and she was like, I'm going to Florida. And like in 2 weeks, I was going to live down in Florida to work. And we met again, and since the first day we saw each other, we've been together.
It was literally love at first sight for those two. And they have a beautiful, beautiful little girl that we often might see ring the bell when she goes to get her picture taken. And you have two amazing sons. If one of your sons, or even Christian, your daughter, came up and said, Dad, I want to be just like you. I want to be a jockey. It's not the easiest life because, you don't start out as a CEO. You got to start from the ground. Yeah. So, Christian, what would your advice be to your sons?
For me, it's going to be a little bit more complicated because it's a girl. It's a girl, and, you don't want, like...
you want to protect her.
Yeah, you want to protect her. It's a dangerous job, and, we risk our life every day. We go out there, get on a horse, so I don't want her, to get hurt and something bad happened to her. She can make her own decisions, it's going to be her decision, but I will always try to, if I can get her to school, it's going to be better.
Well, she's absolutely stunning. She probably has a modeling career in front of her. Julian, what advice would you give to your sons? Because a lot of times jockeys wind up buying horses for their kids, whether it's a Shetland pony or a retired thoroughbred. What do your kids take? What do they think Dad does?
That's a good question. So I mean, they obviously see the life, the jockey life, and you know they think it's all easy and fun, and they always say they want to be a jockey, but in the meantime, they never ask to be a rider right now. They don't even ask to have a pony lesson or anything. So as a father, I'm not going to push it at all. I'm just going to wait for them to one day, if they ask, I will for sure tell them okay. But when I grew up, my dad always told me he didn't want me to be a jockey, and more he told me no. It kind of pushed me wanted to be a jockey even more.
Kids always want
So-
to do the opposite of
So
what their
I'm going to do
parents
the
tell them
opposite
to
than
do.
my dad, and I'm going to just say nothing. And if they come one day and say I want to be a jockey, I'm going to obviously help as much as I can. Yeah.
So, guys, we're kind of at the halfway point of our race meet. Racing now goes through Kentucky Derby weekend. What's on the calendar after? Christian, where do you go from here?
After we're done here, I'm gonna go back to Kentucky as I did last year. I had my first year in Kentucky. It was really nice, so I'm looking forward to go back and have fun out there with those guys.
Christian had the best year so far in his career in regards to purse earnings, in regards to wins, and is certainly on target for that goal again this year. Julian, where do you go after this meet wraps up?
Well, back home too in Kentucky. After Arkansas Derby, I'll probably be traveling a lot between here and Keeneland, and then after that, full time in Kentucky, New York in the summertime, and back here after in the winter.
So it is kind of like a full circle. Oaklawn, people can't wait to get back to Hot Springs, partially because of the people, the crowds, the town, and of course the coin. The coin has to be very nice. So, Christian, tell me, going into deciding you wanted to make being a jockey a career, who was a mentor? Who was somebody that you kind of relied on to give you that advice or tell you, hey, you know what, you screwed up. This is what you should have done. Is there somebody, maybe a trainer or even a fellow rider that kind of took you under his wing?
Yeah, I had a couple riders that since I started riding in Miami, they helped me out. Tyler, Irad and Jose. Even there were some ballads that rode back then, and they always give me advice. So I was like, I'm always listening to the guys that have been here longer than me, and I'm in this business. You learn something every day, so I always have my ears open to whatever advice they want to give me. But there was a couple of guys that helped me.
That is very true, and he named 3 of the top jockeys in the country, so nobody else better to learn from. But there really is a lesson learned every single day. Now, Julian, I first met you out in Southern California, and who were some of your mentors, whether over in France or maybe that you kind of picked up here in the States?
In the States, I mean, the trainer I came with, Patrick Biancone, was for sure a mentor. And at the jockey, Gary Stevens. He was riding for Patrick at the time, so I got to breathe a lot of horses with him in the morning. And when I first started riding, he was there for me in the jockey's room and helped me. Like if you need anything, you ask, and he was always there to teach me, stuff that I did wrong or whatever. So that was my two guys.
So coming from France, a lot of times, like I remember Brice Blanc came before you, Julian, there's other amazing French riders, but you kind of, when you come into a new racetrack, you kind of have that stereotype of, oh, he's a great turf rider. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, for sure. But it's funny because actually people like always tell me like, oh, I'm going to put you on this horse because it's 1.5 miles on the grass and you're used to it. And
you got the legs for it.
But what's funny is I actually never rode in France.
What?
So
you didn't cut your teeth there at all.
So at first I always like, oh yeah, I'm used to it. But actually, I've never raced in France. So yeah, I mean, so technically I started my career in Saratoga.
Okay, all right. So not a bad place to
No, it was
place
good.
to cut
It
your
was
teeth.
a good place, yeah.
So the life of a jockey is very, very busy. It's sun up to sundown. It can be 7 days a week, but I know you guys like your off days when you get them. Christian, what do you do to kind of wind down on a dark day? What do you enjoy doing?
I enjoy go out and I always go somewhere to walk with my daughter and just spend time with her. We read, we can watch movie and try to relax my body and because every weekend is hard here. So we always like in off days. I always we watch a lot of movies and just try to relax with the family. We go out and walk and just have a normal day with the family.
Now, Julian, I'm sure that's what you do in Kentucky, but you're here solo during the Oaklawn meeting. What do you do to kind of relax?
Actually, I go home pretty much almost every week.
So you get a lot of good windshield time.
Yeah, but like I'm like Christian. Like as much as we love our job, like I try to spend as much time with my family. That's everybody asks me what's your hobby. I'm like I don't really have any.
I drive.
Because I just when we have that time to spend, especially our kids are young, so it's that time of their life that we want to spend the most time with them. When they grow up, they're teenager or older, they're gonna do their own thing. But right now they're young, so we wanna be as much with them that we can.
So one thing that these guys have had to experience that the older riders that say the guys that are coming in for our Hall of Fame weekend didn't ever have to experience or go through is social media.
Yeah.
It cannot be fun. Everybody is a critic. Everybody thinks they know best. How do you, and we've seen a lot of jockeys not do well under the pressures of social media, and it is a big factor now. Do you read comments or when somebody at you on Twitter, or do you respond? Tell me about your social media.
I get a lot of message.
Who do you like today?
Yeah, but especially when because a lot of people think that because a horse is a favorite, he's not gonna lose. So every time I'm on a favorite and I lose, I always receive those bad messages, and I just laugh about it and I delete them. Honestly, I don't pay attention because most of the time it's people that have never been on a horse.
Yeah, exactly.
They just watching on the TV. So I just laugh about it. I don't pay attention to that. And I just delete the messages.
What about you, Julian? Because social media kind of came up during your the start of your career. How do you handle social media in today's age?
I'm not a big social media guy, so I do have Twitter, or Instagram, and whatever, but I don't really have them. Like I'm not doing much on it, so I don't really like.
You have a fan.
Bug boys.
Yeah.
Bug boys. That's a great segue. So we do have some really good apprentice jockeys in the room this year with Carlos Barbosa and Joseph Belmar. Have either of those guys come to you, or have you taken the opportunity to go to them to you had mentors that you can now give back and become the mentor? Julian, what about you?
Actually, I know Joe's parents since I'm in America, so I probably saw him grow up. So yeah, I give him advice once in a while for sure.
And probably a little razzing too.
Yeah,
It's all good and fun in the jocks room. Christian, are there any up and coming riders that have sought you out for advice or suggestions?
Yeah, especially out of Puerto Rico, they usually message me, for advice, and they send me the replays of the races and what they did wrong. And I've been riding for 4 years, but I'm blessed to be riding with a lot of good riders and learn from them. So whatever I know, I try to teach and so they can do good.
So on big signature days like today, say Rebel, Arkansas Derby, big days around the other racetracks, is there something in particular that you really look forward to? Is it the fans? Is it seeing the guys come in that are coming in from out of town? What do you look forward to on a big day, Christian, besides winning?
Honestly, I'm very focused on each race. Obviously I enjoy the fans and seeing the infield full of people and outside everybody, enjoying races. That's the main thing that But I'm always focused on my races and try to do my best on each race so I can give the best ride for the owner and the trainer and even for the horse, and winning.
What about you, Julian? What on these big days do you kind of look forward to?
Me, actually, it's a fans. I think when you have those big days and you see the grandstand is full and people enjoy themselves, it gets me pumped up. Like it gets me like I enjoy the day. I enjoy the day every day, but the fans I think bring you like a little bit more than you have on the other days. Um, always everybody asks me what's your favorite racetracks, and it's always like the racetracks that have the most fans, like
Right here.
over here, Kinlan, Saratoga, those are the racetrack where you can feel the fans' presence, and it's great. It's great.
So on a big day when you guys are kind of like every race for them is like a prize fighter walking out to the ring. I mean, it kind of gets you that, does your adrenaline really get going and that type of thing? And it's just talk. You couldn't pay me enough money to get on a thoroughbred. It's never going to happen. What is it that is so special about coming to Oaklawn? The fans, the big money, but I'm sure both of you get recognized all the time when you go out into the city because you are celebrities.
I mean, this place reminds me a lot. It's my first full year, so like that, it's my first experience around here. But it definitely reminds me a lot of Kinnon and Saratoga. Small city, small town, I should say, and everybody loves horse racing. So it's fun, to have that feeling like where everybody knows the racetrack, not only like as a fan, but like knows the horses, knows what it is. I love Churchill. I love it's my home track, but it's so big. The thing is, it could be 30,000 people in Churchill, and you feel like it's empty.
Yeah.
So on those big days, on Derby Day or whatever, like it's huge, but you go downtown, nobody's really know
Right.
too much. So it's that small town feeling is great. Yeah.
Christian, what is it like when you go out with your family or you're out with a group enjoying dinner and people might come up to you and tell you, hey, I bet on you today, or hey, you've got to get that fan experience because they are professional athletes and celebrities at the same time.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about Oakland. People really enjoy racing and they have fun and they know everyone. So whenever I go out to eat with my family, I get people asking me for pictures and they always tell me, "Oh, I lose money with you. I won money with you," and
They don't ask for a refund,
No,
do they?
no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
But it's fun just to go out and see people, that gets really happy when they win with me and they tell me, and I enjoy that. I like to see people enjoying racing here, and here at Oakland, everybody enjoy it. So I love that.
I went and got my nails done the other day for the weekend, and I wound up playing a pick 3 at Turf Paradise with the guy doing my nails. It's everywhere in Hot Springs. You can't go.
You celebrated here too, so you should know the feeling.
I'm an old mare, so I've been around a few turns. But it is such a special day, and I know. Asking your favorite horse, who's your favorite horse that you've never ridden? I'll make that a little easier.
That I've never ridden. When I was a hot walker, I was a big fan of Lady Eli. That's a filly that I ride. Ortiz won a lot of races, Breeders' Cup and everything, and I was a big fan of Lady Eli. I wish I can ride one filly like her one day.
I'm sure you will. You're certainly on target. Julian, you saw a lot of great horses, especially during the early reigns, but one that you did not ride, who were you a fan of?
That's so many. I think the latest one is probably Frankel back in Europe. Here probably I don't know. I always liked curling too. Actually, curling.
Yeah, he was a
yeah.
decent horse.
Yeah,
You know,
pretty good.
He was
He was
pretty
not
good.
bad.
He was pretty good. So, guys, I wish you success, safety, not only for these guys, but for everybody in the room, on the track, and in the barn area. Thank you so much for taking
Thank
time
you.
to come out.
Thank you.
Christian Torres and Julian Leperoux, give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Nancy.
Oh,
See you
always a
later.
pleasure. You're so soft-spoken.